When you're in meetings or talking with colleagues, do you ever find yourself on the other side of the argument, no matter what it is? What if I told you that you're actually the most important person in the room? This isn't actually a flaw. This is something that makes you the most valuable person there. My name is Matt with Elevating Yourself, and as somebody that has been constantly on the other side of the argument, I can tell you that I felt like I was doing something really wrong. Like I was just doomed to be somebody who is always going to be argumentative, disagreeable, and just felt like I was going to be alone for the rest of my life. But I can tell you that you are somebody that is most valuable. This type of person can bring so much insight into any conversation, even if you're completely wrong. In today's video, we're going to be talking about this role, your role as the person that is on the other side of the argument. And we're going to talk about how you can hone these skills so that it can benefit you in the end. First, let's talk about the myth of conformity. Society really has taught us to try to conform as much as possible. I mean, you think about where you've been at in your life, especially as a kid. You're taught to kind of conform to the group. You don't want to be that odd person out. It feels weird. And in today's society with social media, it is dangerous in so many instances to not conform, because if you try to go against the grain, chances are you're going to be hit with an onslaught of just disagreement, hate, and just anger all over the internet. And because of this, people just end up conforming to whatever is around them, or even worse, they don't speak. And yeah, that is a worse situation. People that just sit on the sidelines and never voice their opinion really miss out on offering their insights into most situations. And even if you are actually agreeing with the person, that can actually be a benefit. People like myself who find themselves on the other side of the argument continually get people that come up and say, you know what, I really agreed with you. I've been in meetings so many times where I've been the person to speak out against the group, and I get DMs like 3 minutes after the meeting's over, totally agree, totally agree, totally agree. But it's like, where were you in that meeting? I needed your support. And that's the thing, is like, if you're the person that's going against the grain, sometimes the support that you get is the thing that can help tip that idea to the other side. And so you need those people to help you out. And when you think about history, history has taught us that we need those people that go against the grain, the people that think differently, right? Steve Jobs, Rosa Parks, these are individuals that went against the grain, that thought about things just a little bit different. And had we not had those individuals, who knows where we would have been. Now, I'm not telling you to go out there and just start fights. That is not the message. But we all have beliefs. We all have the things that really stand firm inside of us. And if you find yourself in a position where those beliefs are challenged, then it is up to you to be able to voice those concerns. Voice the things that really mean a lot to you. Because if you don't, I guarantee you the regret that you feel inside will outweigh anything else. It is important that you get out there and really voice those concerns. And if it does hit your beliefs and you really do have a lot of passion around it, chances are your message is going to be very strong. And you potentially could really inspire the people around you to help join your cause. And the crazy thing is, if you're wrong, which can happen a lot, it has happened to me a lot, you still offer a perspective to let people know that the ideas that they're thinking about are actually right. And that is important. When you're trying to come up with the best decision out there, it's not always about hearing the right decisions. It's about hearing the wrong decisions. In fact, most of the time, you're looking at wrong decisions up until the right decision is made. And if you have people around you that can offer a different perspective, it allows you to really understand your own idea to see, is this something that is really worth trying? Now let's talk about unconventional thinking. There's a certain skill to be able to look at the oddities in decision making. Most people will tend to see the most obvious, and there isn't anything wrong with that. Again, the path of least resistance is usually the best path, but sometimes that path isn't always as easily found. And most people tend to side on complexity. They look at the most complex situations because that is going to offer the most work. And people equate more work to meaning that you're more worth something in the end. And realistically, that's not the case. When you're thinking about the path of least resistance, you want to be able to be that person to offer just the simple insights. Those simple insights can have the most benefit in the end. Sometimes the best solution is often overlooked because of the complexity of the situation. Unconventional thinkers will tend to spot the easy path or the path of least resistance a lot better, and so they're able to offer those insights which allow those ideas to thrive. The tough thing is that the unconventional thinkers out there tend to get the most scrutiny. They're the ones, because they're on the other side and they're usually the minority, get the most discouragement. And it is tough sometimes to always be on that side. But you have to realize that the courage that you bring by bringing those ideas forward will allow others to also feed into that. They will be also inspired to be the person to offer their conclusions when they may not see the best timing to do so. But they have to realize that when you do it constantly, it can feel a little daunting. And so you have to make sure sometimes that it's the right time to be able to offer those opinions. And I know sometimes when you're on that side, it can feel like a beatdown. But I want you to understand that there are important people out there, and people that offer a different opinion, even if you're the minority of the group, can really make a difference. It reminds me of the movie World War Z, and I know it's a weird reference, but again, it still makes sense. They talked about the 10th man. So if 9 people make the same decision based off of the same information, it is up to the 10th person, no matter what it is, to be able to disagree with that group. By doing so, you offer a perspective that has to be listened to. And again, it's not to say that that 10th person isn't always right. They could be wrong 9 times out of 10, but you are there to offer contention, to offer precision into the thinking that people are going around you. But when you let your emotions take control of your words, chances of you sounding good, sounding like you know what you're talking about, and not just sounding like this argumentative prick, are really high. And so it's important to be able to kind of calm yourself in these situations as best as possible. Now let's talk about how to cultivate a different mindset. There are really 3 pieces that you want to think about when cultivating this different mindset. First is just to ask better questions. Asking questions is such a valuable concept when you're trying to, one, understand an idea, and then also kind of formulate your own thought process along the way. Like I talked about before, sometimes you may not have all of the answers. And when typically I give my feedback, most of the time I do it last. And I do this on purpose because I want to hear the different opinions around the room, but I also want to give the opportunity to ask really strong questions along the way. These are going to help me identify, am I thinking in the right direction? Is there something I need to change before I offer my opinion? And by doing so, you're able to get as much information in as possible, which in the end will benefit those around you and also benefit your own idea. After that, it's time to seek some information from outside of your normal sources. Since you're a different thinker, it is important to also make sure that you're gathering as much information as possible. And so look to maybe read something different. Maybe talk to somebody that you know is going to have a difference of an opinion so that you can kind of run your idea past them. Or maybe just try some new experiences. These are things that will help you at least formulate your thoughts a little bit better to make sure that the things that you're talking about are on the right path. And then finally, it's just reframing failure. You have to be understanding that when you offer your opinion, since you are the differentiator out there, chances of them taking it may be really small. But this doesn't mean that you're failing in any capacity. As long as you're taking some valuable information from the experience, then it is not a failure at all. You'll learn from it, you'll be able to apply it, and you'll be able to make better decisions and also make better ideas later in the future. Now let's talk about overcoming resistance. Because let's face it, when you're going against the grain, the chances of you having to face resistance are probably 100%. And you know what the best thing is that you can do to overcome it? I don't know. Actually, it's different for each person. You have to kind of look through what you're doing to understand what's going to best work for you. Now, I can tell you that it's important that you don't fight resistance. It's very easy to want to fight that resistance, but it doesn't always work. And you know what? In my career, one of the things that people have always told me is pick my battles. I hate that phrase. I hate it more than anything in the world because I'm not trying to battle people. My goal in all this is not to fight with individuals. It's just to offer perspective. And when people see it as fighting, then maybe I need to start thinking to myself, am I delivering my message in the appropriate way? Is my tone right? Is my timing right? Things of that nature. And if it's not, then that's where I need to refine things a little bit. Now, if I've looked at it and my message seems pretty good, then you may not have to refine it. That's just the way they see it. Most of the time, when people see somebody on the other side of it, especially when they're the minority, chances are they might look at them as being argumentative. But as long as that's not what you're trying to accomplish, then don't worry about it. And remember that there are going to be situations every single day that you can use to stand out. It doesn't have to be this big situations. You don't have to wait for the big meeting to be that person to stand against the group. Try to look at day-to-day situations that you can kind of interject in to offer your ideas, to offer your contention, to practice your skills. Once you've honed your skills, then you can start to bring those things into bigger meetings because you know that the message is going to be much more refined and you're going to have a much better grasp on your emotions, your tone, your timing, things of that nature that will, again, make that message come across that much better. Thanks for watching today. I want you to remember that if you are this unconventional thinker, that you are a valuable part of any business. And if any business out there doesn't recognize it, then I suggest that you look for places that will see the value in the things that you do. Just because you go against the grain doesn't mean that you're a bad person. In fact, you are the most important person in that room. You offer the different perspectives that we need in order to make the best decisions out there. If you haven't had a chance, take a look at some of my videos that I've got posted. Let me know your thoughts. I hope you have a fantastic day. Remember, elevating yourself to the next level starts with just a single step. Take that step today. We'll see you next time.